welcome to another Rider Ramblings. Unfortunately, we've had a bit of a problem with the intro, and for some reason or other the camera didn't record the intro. So you've got a static picture at the moment. This is the first trip out since the confinement ended in France, so yippee-ki-yay, enter your own epithet. The weather is lovely. I haven't had a chance to go out earlier simply because of work. I've been working from 8:30 in the morning till 8 at night, Monday and Tuesday, so that put a kibosh on the idea of going out and enjoying the motorbike. Anyhow, this afternoon I have a break until 6:30 when I have a meeting between 6:30 and 8 o'clock. Anyhow, let's start the roll. For some reason or other the camera turned itself off, so I wonder if the battery isn't very well on the camera, but at least it had the decency to say camera off. I did make sure it was fully charged before I got on the bike, so they've been putting these stupid cycle tracks in, so it's going to be an absolute nightmare. They seem to think it's a good idea, but as you can see they've blocked this bridge. Now this bridge is an absolute nightmare at rush hour, and by blocking the bridge they're just going to make it worse. I really do think some people need their brain seeing to. Yes, I can understand the use of cycle tracks. Very good idea. But blocking main roads is not intelligent at all. And they really do need, I think, to get a lesson in common sense, because they certainly don't have one. And this is, with the best will in the world, totally cretinous. Not just a little bit cretinous, but totally cretinous. Totally cretinous. Absolutely stupid. We've got a bloody bus lane there, and they can use the bus lane. But no, we're not allowed to use the bus lane. We have to block the cars, because that seems to be the best thing to do. I'm sorry. Not intelligent in any shape or form. And I imagine that in about an hour's time this road will be completely blocked, and this is totally unbelievable. It really is. Which cretin thought of this? Not a single cyclist, and everybody's blocked. Total stupidity. I trust everybody is talking to the mayor of Créteil and informing him that he needs a frontal lobotomy, because it's quite obvious that he's lost all idea of common sense. Absolutely none. Which total cretin thought this was a good idea? They really do need a lesson in common sense, because this is crass stupidity. There's no other term for it. Crass stupidity. it really is a very bad idea. Not just a bad idea, but an exceptionally bad idea. And we got Charlie blocking the road. Absolute crass stupidity. Well, I didn't have a puncture, which is good, but there was quite a long piece of steel stuck in the tyre, so I'm probably going to have to warm it up to melt the compound to fill in the hole. I am definitely not turning left here. Whichever cretin thought that was a good idea really does need a lesson in common sense. But as it's my first trip on the bike, I think I'll in the lockdown, I think I'll go for a run. And see what other cretinous things the mayor of Créteil, it is appropriate, isn't it? Cretinous Créteil has done. He's obviously taken leave of his senses. That's the only thing I can think of. It's quite busy when you look at it. Quite a lot of people are out and about. Quite a lot of people out and about. So, we'll have to see how my arms are. I'm having to go to see the vet, the doctor, on Friday. As I'm still having problems with my thumb. Now that's a very clever thing to do, 92. We obviously decided a bit too late. There is a recall notice on FJR 1300s, by the way. I've just found out at the garage. There's a problem with the canister which filters the air from the reservoir, that's what we call it in French, from the petrol tank. And it seems that they've put a hose on upside down or something, or they've redesigned the canister to help with the emissions or something, and it's been put on wrong, so we go for our annual service, which, even though it's only done 3,800 kilometers, which is nothing, we'll be up for our annual service in June, so they're arranging for it to happen, whatever work is needed. The reason for the recall is it seems that it causes constant condensation in the fuel tank, and the fuel tank starts to rust. So they've got to check the fuel tank out to make sure that there's no rust. And if there is any rust, they actually replace the whole fuel tank, which is sounds pretty horrific. Well, it sounds like it was rather a bad design idea. So it's nice to be back on the bike, it really is. And it's lovely to be back on the bike. To curb my exuberance because we're in a 30-mile-an-hour zone here, but luckily the French people have had a couple of days to get used to driving again, so hopefully there won't be too many problems with idiots, hopefully, but doesn't mean I can let my guard down, because most people haven't driven for getting on for 2 months, and after their usual 3 weeks holiday they're absolutely appalling drivers, so after 2 months they're going to be total idiots. Let's see, we've got an O3 blocking the route here. Citroen Picasso. Never mind, let's see what they've done at this other bridge, because if they've blocked that off, then quite simply it's going to be terrible. I mean, there aren't that many bridges over the Marne, and having put in that cycleway is pretty horrendous. It really is. That's going to cause absolute havoc when everybody gets back to work. Absolute havoc. I have no idea who came up with that. We've got a bus coming in. It should be all right. He's got a bit of leeway to turn. So, oh, it is nice to be back on the bike. It really is. Not just a bit nice. So we will see. We will see. Long lights here. The only problem with having such a nice bike like this in town is that basically you're in first and second gear, and that's your lot. In fact, a lot of the time you're only in first. So I wonder what Mr. Mercedes is doing. I don't think he knows either. I've got crash bars on the rear that actually make this bike quite wide, at least as wide as the mirrors, and consequently I've got to take it a bit carefully when filtering. I'm used to having more space. I'm used to having a lot more space. Bit of French engineering here. They really know about their traffic management. I do. I think I need to adjust this clutch lever just a little bit. I mean, you could just leave this in first virtually all the time in town. There's no need to use second, because first is only about 3,000 RPM. Oh dear, didn't quite time that right. I have no idea. Bocca Negra, probably. I've never heard of a Seat Bocca Negra. If you have, please leave a comment below, because I have no idea what it is apart from red, and it looks like it might be tuned. But that's as far as I can tell. It looks quite a nice car. A VW, of course. So, or from the VW stable, should I say. So it'll be... They're quite good at their hot hatches, so I imagine it'll be quite a good vehicle. We seem to have people who have problems with their road positioning ahead. We do. Let's have a look. Third gear, 49.50. Well, we're about, although it says 49.50, we're probably running about 45. Because the speedo is about 10% out, so I'm okay up to about 54, and that's the limit, and I'm doing 2,000 RPM. We're not even, well, we're just above tick over, aren't we? Oh, this looks interesting. Some nice lorry leaving their load all over the road. So I'll have to remember to avoid the bridge from now on. I don't know how I'm going to come back, because that's my normal route, is through, if I'm coming back, is down through the bridge. But now that they've made a mess of it, I have no idea what I'm going to do there. And we'll have to see. 94 Peugeot 307. Being very helpful. I might stop off at the physioterrorist and see if he's open, as I need to pay for my physioterrorism. I've received the money from the state. What you do is you pay first and the state reimburses you, which I think is a bit strange, but never mind why they can't pay it directly to the physioterrorist. I have no idea. But the state received the fact that the invoice had been made out, and they paid me, but with the shutdown, the physioterrorist has been closed. So I think I'll pop down and see if it's open. Oh, I'll tell you what, I could always walk down. It's good for me to walk. I can see this becoming very, very busy. I can see it becoming very busy indeed, this bridge, because of the stupidity at crête. I can see it becoming, and it's pretty bad as it is. I'm sorry, but whoever decided on the traffic management system really is terminally stupid. So what I'm going to do is I shall go to the end of this piece of road here. I ran down here this morning at about 6:30. I crossed the road just here, and it's part of my, well, it's normally part of my morning run, but they had closed the banks of the river. They'd closed the banks of the river until they opened them Monday morning again, so I've had to be running through the town instead of enjoying the banks of the river. And it was a nice little run. I saw in total 8 people for the whole of my run. That was it, 8. And I was out for 56, 57 minutes, something like that. So I know 6 o'clock is a little bit early, but I was expecting to see more people out and running. I was. So, bull terrier. I love bull terriers. Oh, that's an American bull terrier, pit bull. Considered a dangerous dog. Even in France, they consider it a dangerous dog. It's quite rare for the French to consider certain animals dangerous, but they do. You've probably forgotten that we have a thing called priorité à droite in France. Can't see a damn thing there, so I don't know. It is, what time is it? 4:24. I've got a meeting at 6:30 until 8 o'clock. Yeah, I know. They've got some strange hours in France, they really do. It's not this 9 to 5 business. 9 to 5 doesn't really exist in France. People tend to work until quite late in the evening, and shops are open late as well. It's not just, they don't close at 5 o'clock like in the UK. They're open until about 8 o'clock actually, or a lot of them are. Come on, Pidgey, out the way. And but they do tend to open. Well, it depends on the shop. If it's a supermarket, they'll open about 8:30, 8 o'clock, and they'll close, say, about 8 o'clock in the evening. If it's another shop, then they tend to open sort of, well, it depends, but anywhere up to 10 o'clock in the morning, and then usually close about 8 o'clock. And this includes things like opticians and so on. They're the same. So it's not just shops. It's also the professions as well. And it is actually busy. I mean, during the confinement, as they called it in France, it was very rare to see anybody out and about. I had to go out a couple of times, mainly to the doctors or to the the laboratory to get my test done for this coronavirus thing. I tested negative. So I did, which is, I don't know if it's good or bad. What do you think? Leave me a message in the comments. Is testing negative good or bad? Because at some point I'm probably going to catch the damn thing. So just like about 60% of the population, unless they can find an antidote beforehand. Now, where's Charlie going? I shall just whiz through. And if they find an antidote, then we can have a vaccine. Yes, that's right, madam. It's a good idea to look at the road and not at your phone. They haven't got any better, have they? It would be nice. So, while the confinement was on, we're now on part of my run, as I had to run through the town. So I'd run down here. I would. And as you may remember, this is this famous roundabout, which is probably the most stupid roundabout in the whole of the world. It really is. And the number of San Morians, as the people from St. Maur are called, who complain about it on the various websites and so on. With the complaints and so on, I'm surprised the mayor hasn't done anything, but most mayors have their own agendas, so they won't, unless, because for them the idea is to slow the traffic down, and they don't really care about you. I actually know the mayor. I've met him 2 or 3 times, so if I do see him, I'm going to have serious words with him. But unfortunately, as I say, that cycle lane isn't actually, well, parts of it must be in St. Maur, and parts of it not. Anyhow, we're home. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.